The surgery took place on a Tuesday morning in the station's main medical center. Jake sat in the waiting room for 6 hours, drinking bad coffee and watching alien news programs he could not understand. Dr. Lisa Chun had explained that Velixian surgery was delicate work, but the waiting still made him nervous. When Lisa finally emerged from the operating room, she looked tired but pleased. "The surgery went very well," she said. "Zara is in recovery now. The prosthetic attachment was successful, and there were no complications." "Can I see her?" Jake asked. "She's still unconscious from the anesthesia, but yes, you can sit with her. She should wake up in a few hours." Jake followed Lisa through sterile white corridors to a small recovery room. Zara lay on a narrow bed, her blue skin pale under the medical lights. Her left leg was wrapped in bandages and various monitoring. Devices beeped softly around her. She looked so small and fragile that Jake felt a sudden fear. What if something went wrong? What if the prosthetic did not work properly? What if he had made a terrible mistake? Lisa seemed to sense his worry. "She's going to be fine," she said. Velixian healing is slow but very thorough. In a few months, she'd be walking better than she ever did before the accident. Jake pulled a chair next to Zara's bed and settled in to wait. He had brought some books from his ship, but he found it hard to concentrate on reading. Instead, he watched Zara's face and thought about the strange path that had brought them together. 3 days ago, he had been a simple cargo hauler with no connections to anyone outside his small circle of friends and family. Now he was responsible for an alien girl's medical care and future employment. His bank account was nearly empty, and he had committed to years of debt payments. Any reasonable person would say he had lost his mind, but when Zara finally opened her eyes that evening and smiled at him weakly, Jake knew he had made the right choice. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Like someone hit me with a mining drill," Zara said, her voice hoarse from the surgery. "But also ... hopeful. Is that strange?" "Not strange at all," Jake said. "You just took the first step toward getting your life back." Over the next few weeks, Jake learned more about Velixian culture than he had ever expected to know. Zara was required to stay in the medical center for observation, and Jake visited her every day. At first, their conversations were awkward and formal. Zara still did not fully trust his motives, and Jake was not sure how to talk to someone from such a different background, but gradually they began to share stories about their lives. Zara told him about growing up in the underground cities of Velix, where her people mined rare crystals from deep cave systems. She described her family's small apartment, her 3 younger siblings, and her dreams of becoming an engineer before. The accident changed everything. Jake told her about Earth, about his childhood on a farm in the American Midwest, and about his decision to leave home and become a space trader. He talked about his sister Katie and how her accident had taught him that life could change in an instant. "Your sister is lucky to have a brother like you," Zara said one afternoon as they watched the station's artificial sunset through her window. "Why do you say that?" Jake asked. "Because you learn from her pain. Many beings would become angry or bitter after watching someone they love suffer, but you became more compassionate. That is a rare gift." Jake had never thought of it that way before. Maybe that's just how humans are built. We're supposed to take care of each other. Not all humans are like you, Zara said. I have met other humans on this station. Some are kind, but others are selfish and cruel, just like beings from any other species. You choose to be good. That is what makes you special. The physical therapy sessions were the hardest part of Zara's recovery. Learning to walk with a prosthetic leg was painful and frustrating work. The device was a marvel of galactic technology, with neural interfaces that connected directly to her nervous system. But it still felt foreign and clumsy. Dr. Chun worked with a team of specialists from different species to help Zara adapt. There was Marcus White, a human physical therapist who had experience with prosthetic limbs. There was Dr. Clicks, an insectoid hive mind physician who understood neural interfaces better than anyone. And there was Healer Voss, an elderly Aquarian who specialized in pain management techniques. "This is unprecedented," Dr. Chun explained to Jake one day as they watched Zara struggle through her exercises. "We've never had such a diverse medical team working on a single patient. Each species brings different knowledge and perspectives to the treatment." "Is that helping or making things more complicated?" Jake asked. "Both," Chun admitted, "but mostly helping. For example, Dr. Clicks figured out how to optimize the neural interface for Velixian brain chemistry. Marcus developed exercises specifically for beings with hollow bones. And Healer Voss taught Zara meditation techniques that are much more effective than our standard pain medications." Jake watched Zara take careful steps between parallel bars, her face tight with concentration. She had been working for an hour, and sweat beaded on her blue forehead. But she was not giving up. Every day, she walked a little farther, and with a little less pain. "She's incredibly determined," Marcus said, joining Jake at the observation window. "Most patients would have quit by now. The pain alone would be enough to break most people's spirit." "Velixians are tougher than they look," Jake said. "It's not just physical toughness," Marcus replied. "She has something to prove. Not just to herself, but to everyone who said she was worthless because of her disability. That's powerful motivation." During the long weeks of recovery, Jake learned that Zara was much smarter than anyone had given her credit for. She spoke 5 languages fluently and had taught herself advanced mathematics by reading discarded textbooks. She knew more about interstellar navigation than most professional pilots, and she could repair complex electronic devices with her 4 hands working in perfect coordination. "Why didn't you mention any of this when you were looking for work?" Jake asked one evening as Zara demonstrated how to recalibrate a cargo scanner using only basic tools. "No one asked about my education," Zara said. "They only saw a disabled alien girl who needed charity. They assumed I was stupid because I was desperate." "That's their loss," Jake said. "When you're ready to start working, you're going to surprise a lot of people." As Zara's recovery progressed, other beings on the station began to take notice of the unusual partnership between the human and the Velixian. Some were curious about Jake's motivations. Others were skeptical about whether Zara would ever be productive enough to justify the investment in her treatment. A group of Krillian merchants approached Jake one day while he was visiting the medical center. Human Sullivan, their leader, said, "We have heard about your charitable project. We are curious about the practical results." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "This female cost you over 100,000 credits to repair. When will she begin generating income to repay this debt? What guarantees do you have that she will not simply leave once she is healed?" Jake felt annoyed by their businesslike approach to Zara's situation. "She's not a machine that I bought and repaired. She's a person who needed help. The guarantees are that I trust her to keep her word, and she trusts me to treat her fairly." The Krillians exchanged glances. "Trust is not a sound business practice," one of them said. "Emotion makes poor decisions. You will regret this investment." "Maybe," Jake said. "But I'd rather regret helping someone than regret not helping them." After the Krillians left, Jake found Zara in the therapy room practicing her walking exercises. She had been listening to the conversation through the open door, and her expression was troubled. "They are right, you know," she said. "You have no guarantee that I will stay and work for you. Legally, I could leave as soon as I am healed, and you would have no way to force me to repay the debt." "Are you planning to leave?" Jake asked. "No," Zara said immediately, "but that is not the point. The point is that you trusted me when you had no reason to trust me. You helped me when no one else would. That kind of faith changes a person." She took a few more careful steps, her prosthetic leg moving more smoothly than it had the week before. "I will repay every credit you spent on me. But more than that, I will try to become the kind of person who deserves the chance you gave me." Jake watched her walk and felt a warmth in his chest that had nothing to do with the station's climate control. For the first time since signing the indenture contract, he was completely certain that he had made the right decision. Zara was not just healing from her surgery. She was discovering who she could become when someone believed in her potential. And Jake was learning that sometimes the best investments were the ones that could not be measured in credits or profit margins. The Galactic Commerce Authority office was a cold, sterile place filled with the sound of clicking keyboards and humming computers. Jake and Zara sat across from a stern-looking Nexian official whose purple skin seemed to glow under the bright lights. The official had been staring at their paperwork for 20 minutes, occasionally making disapproving sounds. "This is highly irregular," the Nexian said finally, her three eyes focusing on Jake. "In my 40 years of processing indenture contracts, I have never seen a human make this type of purchase." "What type of purchase is that?" Jake asked, trying to keep his voice polite. "An illogical one," the official replied. "According to your submitted documents, you plan to purchase this Velixian female for medical treatment, not for labor. You have not specified what work she will perform. You have not outlined productivity requirements. You have not even established living arrangements that would ensure she cannot escape." Jake felt his temper rising. "I don't want her to be a prisoner. I want to help her get surgery and then give her a job." The Nexian's middle eye blinked slowly. "The purpose of indenture contracts is to provide labor in exchange for debt forgiveness. If you simply wanted to employ this female, you would use standard hiring procedures. The fact that you are choosing indenture suggests ulterior motives." "What kind of ulterior motives?" Jake asked. The official leaned forward, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Humans are known for certain appetites regarding other species. Perhaps you intend to use this female for entertainment purposes that would be illegal under standard employment law." Jake felt his face turn red with anger. "That's disgusting. I would never." "Then explain your motivation," the Nexian interrupted. "Why would you spend 80,000 credits on a disabled alien with no special skills? What do you hope to gain from this transaction?" Jake looked at Zara, who was sitting silently beside him. Her 4 hands were folded in her lap, and she looked terrified. He realized that she was probably wondering the same thing as the official. In her world, nobody helps strangers without expecting something in return. "I want to gain the satisfaction of helping someone who needs help," Jake said slowly. "In human culture, this is called compassion. It means caring about the welfare of others, even when you get nothing in return." The Nexian made a note on her datapad. "Compassion is not recognized as a valid business motivation under galactic commerce law. You must provide a practical reason for this purchase." Jake felt frustrated. How could he explain human values to beings who had never experienced them? "Fine. I'll hire her as crew for my cargo ship. She can help with loading, maintenance, and navigation." "A disabled Velixian will be unsuitable for cargo work," the official said. "Their bone structure is too fragile for heavy lifting, and their emotional nature makes them unreliable in stressful situations." "Then she can do paperwork and communications," Jake said. "Every ship needs someone to handle administrative tasks." The Nexian looked skeptical, but made another note. "Very well. But understand that once you sign this contract, you are legally responsible for this female's actions. If she commits crimes, you will be held accountable. If she fails to work, you cannot simply release her. The contract binds you as much as it binds her." After an hour of paperwork and legal warnings, Jake finally signed the indenture contract. Zara signed it too, though her hand shook as she wrote her name. The official stamped the documents with official seals and handed them copies. "Congratulations," the Nexian said in a tone that suggested anything but congratulations. "You now own a Velixian female for the next 10 years. I hope you do not regret this decision." As they left the government office, Jake noticed that other beings in the corridors were staring at them. Word of the unusual contract had already spread through the station's administrative network. A human buying a disabled alien for no apparent reason was strange enough to be newsworthy. "Are you having second thoughts?" Zara asked quietly as they walked toward the medical district. "No," Jake said firmly. "Are you?" "I am scared," Zara admitted. "I do not understand why you are helping me. In Velixian culture, such generosity only exists between family members. Strangers do not risk their wealth for each other unless they expect something valuable in return." Jake stopped walking and turned to face her. "What do you think I want from you?" Zara looked down at the floor. "I do not know. That is what frightens me. Among my people, when someone makes an offer that seems too good to be true, it usually is. There are always hidden costs that are not revealed until it is too late to escape." "I understand why you're worried," Jake said. "But I promise you, I don't have any hidden agenda. I just want to help you get your leg fixed so you can have a normal life." "But why?" Zara asked, looking up at him with confused eyes. "What did I do to deserve your help?" Jake thought about how to answer that question. "You don't have to do anything to deserve help. That's not how it works. You deserve help because you're a person who needs help. It's that simple." Zara stared at him for a long moment. Humans are very strange. "Yeah," Jake said with a smile. "We get that a lot." They continued walking toward the medical district, but Jake noticed that Zara seemed more relaxed now. She was beginning to believe that he really did want to help her without expecting anything in return. Dr. Lisa Chun looked up from her desk when Jake and Zara entered her office. She recognized Zara from their previous conversation and seemed surprised to see her with a human. "Zara, I'm glad to see you again," Lisa said in fluent common language. "How can I help you today?" "This is Jake Sullivan," Zara said. "He has agreed to pay for my prosthetic surgery." Lisa's eyebrows rose in surprise. "That's wonderful news. May I ask what prompted this generosity, Mr. Sullivan?" Jake explained about his sister's accident and his desire to help Zara in a similar situation. As he spoke, Lisa's expression changed from suspicion to understanding to admiration. "That's very kind of you," Lisa said when he finished. "But I should warn you that prosthetic surgery for Velixians is quite complex. Their physiology is different from humans in several important ways." "What kind of differences?" Jake asked. Lisa pulled up a holographic display showing Velixian anatomy. "Their bones are hollow, like birds, which makes them lighter but more fragile. Their nervous system uses different biochemical signals than ours, and their healing process is much slower than most species. Does that mean the surgery is more dangerous?" Zara asked. "Not necessarily more dangerous," Lisa said, "but it does require specialized equipment and expertise. The surgery itself will take about 6 hours, and the recovery period will be at least 3 months. During that time, Zara will need constant medical supervision and physical therapy." Jake did some quick calculations. 3 months of medical care would be expensive, and his cargo ship would be grounded the entire time. He would lose money on contracts and have to pay for Zara's treatment. It was going to cost him much more than the original 80,000 credits. How much would the total cost be? He asked. Lisa consulted her computer. "Including surgery, prosthetic, device, recovery care, and physical therapy, you're looking at approximately 120,000 credits. Jake felt his stomach drop. That was almost twice what he had expected to pay. He would have to sell his cargo ship to afford it, which would leave him unemployed and broke. Zara must have seen the expression on his face because she immediately spoke up. "It is too much money. I cannot accept this gift. You would ruin yourself to help me." Jake looked at her worried face and thought about his sister Katie again. What would he have done if Katie had needed help and no one was willing to provide? What would he have wanted someone to do for her? "We'll figure it out," he said finally. "Maybe I can get a loan or sell some of my equipment. There has to be a way." Dr. Chun watched this exchange with interest. "Mr. Sullivan, may I ask you a personal question?" "Sure." Do you have any idea how unusual your behavior is? In 15 years of practicing medicine on this station, I have never seen one being make such a sacrifice for another being from a different species. Most aliens think humans are crazy for acting this way. Maybe we are crazy, Jake said. But if being crazy means helping people who need help, then I guess I'm okay with being crazy. Lisa smiled. I think I might be able to help you with the cost. There are research grants available for innovative prosthetic procedures. If Zara agrees to participate in a study of cross-species medical treatment, we might be able to reduce your expenses significantly. What kind of study? Zara asked. We would document her surgery and recovery process to help other doctors treat Velixian patients in the future. It would be completely safe, but it would require you to spend extra time in medical tests and interviews. Zara looked at Jake. If it would help reduce the cost, I am willing to do it. Then let's get started, Lisa said. I'll begin preparing for the surgery and applying for the research grants. With luck, we can have Zara walking on 2 legs within 4 months. As they left the medical office, Jake felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. He was about to spend more money than he had ever spent on anything, all to help an alien girl he had known for less than a day. Most people would think he was insane. Jake Sullivan stood at the edge of the marketplace, watching the morning crowd flow past him like water around a stone. He had been on Kepler Station for 3 days now, waiting for his cargo ship to be repaired after a minor engine failure. The delay frustrated him, but it also gave him time to explore the massive station and see how different species lived and worked together. He was not like most humans who came to the outer stations. Jake did not work for a big corporation or the Earth government. He owned his own small cargo hauler, the Lucky Star, and took jobs moving supplies between the smaller colonies that the big shipping companies ignored. It was not glamorous work, but it paid enough to keep him independent and free. As he walked through the marketplace, Jake noticed something that made him stop. A blue-skinned alien girl sat on a bench near the medical district, holding a data pad and looking more miserable than anyone he had ever seen. She had 4 arms, which marked her as a Velixian, and one of her legs was missing below the knee. Jake had seen many desperate beings in his travels, but something about this girl reminded him of his sister Katie. Back on Earth, Katie had lost her leg in a hovercar accident when she was 17. Jake remembered how depressed and hopeless she had been before getting her prosthetic leg. The look in this alien girl's eyes was exactly the same. He approached her slowly, not wanting to startle her. When she looked up at him, he saw tears forming in her large, dark eyes. Are you okay? He asked in common language, though his accent was thick with Earth English. The girl seemed surprised that he had spoken to her. I am fine, she said, but her voice shook with emotion. Jake sat down on the bench next to her, ignoring the strange looks from passing aliens. Most beings kept their distance from desperate refugees, but Jake had never been good at walking away from people who needed help. My name is Jake, he said. What's yours? I am Zara, she replied, still looking confused about why a human would talk to her. I couldn't help but notice you look pretty upset, Jake said. Want to tell me what's wrong? Zara hesitated for a moment, then held up her data pad. I am trying to sell myself for work, but no one wants me. I need money for a prosthetic leg, but I have been here for 4 days and no one has made an offer. Jake read her advertisement and felt his heart sink. The idea of someone so young being forced to sell herself into slavery just to get a fake leg made him angry. On Earth, medical care was free for everyone. He had never thought about how beings on other worlds might not have the same opportunities. 10 years is a long time, he said. Are you sure there's no other way? Zara told him about her mining accident, her family's poverty, and the impossible cost of prosthetic surgery. As she spoke, Jake felt more and more uncomfortable with the situation. This was exactly the kind of problem that humans were supposed to help solve when they joined the galactic community. How much does the surgery cost? He asked. 50,000 galactic credits, Zara said. plus the cost of the prosthetic device itself, which is another $30,000. It is more money than my entire family will make in their lifetimes. Jake did some quick math in his head. 80,000 galactic credits was a lot of money, but it was not impossible. He had about 40,000 in his savings account, and his cargo ship was worth at least twice that. If he really wanted to help this girl, he could probably find a way to get the money. But that was crazy thinking. He barely knew her. She was not even human. Why should he risk his financial future for a stranger? The answer came to him as he looked at Zara's face again. Because it was the right thing to do. Because she reminded him of Katie. Because no one else was going to help her. What if I bought your contract? He said suddenly. Zara stared at him with wide eyes. You want to? Buy me? Not exactly buy you, Jake said, trying to figure out how to explain. I want to help you get the surgery you need. Then you can work for me until you pay back the money, but as a regular employee, not as a slave. I do not understand, Zara said. Why would you do this? You do not know me. I am not even human. Jake thought about how to answer that question. In truth, he was not sure why he wanted to help her. It went against everything he had been taught about business and survival in the galaxy. But something deep inside him said it was the right thing to do. Where I come from, he said, we have a saying, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It means you should treat people the way you want to be treated. If I was in your situation, I would want someone to help me. Zara looked at him like he was speaking a foreign language. This is normal for humans, to help strangers? It should be normal for everyone, Jake said. But I guess we're kind of weird that way. A group of Krillian merchants had stopped nearby and were listening to their conversation. One of them approached Jake with a concerned expression. Human, you do not understand what you are proposing, the Krillian said. Sell contracts are serious legal documents. This female will be your property for 10 years. You will be responsible for her housing, food, medical care, and legal status. If she commits crimes or fails to work, you will be held responsible. I understand, Jake said, though he was not sure he really did. Furthermore, the Krillian continued, Velixians are not suitable for heavy labor. Their bones are hollow like birds, and they tire easily. You will be making a poor investment. I'm not looking for an investment, Jake said. I'm looking to help someone who needs help. The Krillian made a clicking sound that indicated confusion. This is not logical. What do you gain from this? Transaction? Jake thought about it for a moment. I gained the knowledge that I did something good. That's enough for me. The Krillian walked away, shaking his head in disbelief. Other aliens who had been listening to the conversation also moved. Muttering to each other about strange human behavior, Zara looked at Jake with a mixture of hope and fear. Are you serious about this? You would really help me? I'm serious, Jake said. But I want to be clear about something. I don't want you to be my slave. I want you to be my employee. You'll work for me until you pay back the money for your surgery, but you'll have rights and freedoms. You can quit if you want to, and you can negotiate your working conditions. That is not how sell contracts work, Zara said. If you buy me, I belong to you completely. Then we'll write a new kind of contract, Jake said. One that protects both of us. Zara was quiet for a long moment, studying Jake's face. He could see her trying to decide if she could trust him. Finally, she spoke. Why do you want to help? Me? Please tell me the truth. Jake took a deep breath. Because my sister lost her leg in an accident when she was about your age. I remember how sad and hopeless she was. I remember thinking that if I could help her, I would do anything. When I saw you sitting here, I saw her face. I saw someone who needed help that I could actually provide. Your sister, did she get a prosthetic leg? Yes, Jake said. She's married now with 2 kids. She runs a successful business on Earth. Losing her leg was terrible, but it didn't stop her from having a good life. Zara smiled for the first time since Jake had met her. I would like to have a good life too. Then let's make it happen, Jake said. We'll go to the medical district and talk to the doctors about your surgery. Then we'll figure out the legal stuff. As they stood up to leave, Jake noticed that dozens of aliens were watching them with curious expressions. Word of the strange human who wanted to help a disabled alien girl was already spreading through the marketplace. Jake did not care what they thought. He was going to help Zara get her prosthetic leg, and then he was going to help her build a better life. It was the human thing to do. The rest area in Sector 12 was nothing like the clean, bright marketplace Zara had left behind. The lights were dim and flickering, casting strange shadows on the metal walls. The air smelled of unwashed bodies, cheap food, and fear. Dozens of beings from different worlds sat on old benches or lay on thin mats, all of them waiting for something better that might never come. Zara found an empty corner near a broken vending machine and sat down carefully. Her leg stump hurt from all the walking, and her crutch had rubbed painful spots on her arms. She pulled out her data pad and stared at her advertisement again. Still zero responses. The 12-hour limit was over, but she could not stop hoping that someone, somewhere, might still want her. A thin, green-skinned Altarian male sat down next to her without asking. His clothes were dirty and torn, and he smelled like engine oil. First time in the rest area? He asked in broken common. Language. Yes, Zara replied, not looking at him. She did not want to talk to anyone right now. I have been here for 3 months, the Altarian said. Lost my job when the cargo ship I worked on got destroyed by pirates. Been looking for work ever since. What about you? Zara explained about her leg and her failed attempt to sell herself for work. The Altarian listened and nodded sadly. Self-sell contracts are hard to get, he said. Most species do not trust beings desperate enough to sell themselves. They think if you are willing to become a slave, you must be hiding something bad. I am not hiding anything, Zara said. I just need help. I know, the Altarian replied. But they do not care about what you need. They only care about what you can give them. As the night cycle began, more beings came into the rest area. Some were refugees from war-torn worlds. Others were criminals who had been released from prison but could not find legitimate work. A few were simply unlucky, like Zara, caught in situations beyond their control. She listened to their stories and felt her hope shrinking even more. The Gorillian warrior who had lost his arm in battle and could no longer fight. The Nexian scientist, whose research had been declared illegal by the Galactic government. The human woman who had been caught smuggling medical supplies to a quarantine world. All of them had skills and experience, but none of them could find work. If they cannot find jobs, Zara thought, what chance do I have? The next morning, Zara decided to try again. She returned to the marketplace, even though the security drone had warned her about loitering. She posted her advertisement on different networks and tried to make herself visible in new areas of the station. The response was the same. Beings looked at her offer and walked away. Some were polite about it, explaining that they had no need for her services. Others were cruel, making jokes about her missing leg or her desperate situation. A group of Krillian business people stood near the banking district, discussing a large construction project. Zara approached them carefully, holding her datapad in her upper hands. Excuse me, she said in the most polite voice she could manage. I am looking for work. I am strong and willing to learn any job you might have. The lead Krillian, a tall female with silver markings on her gray skin, looked down at Zara with cold black eyes. We need workers who can carry heavy materials and work in dangerous conditions. You cannot even carry yourself properly. I can work with my hands, Zara said, showing her forearms. I am good with small, detailed tasks. Many jobs need careful work. Our project requires beings who can work for 16 hours without rest. Another Krillian said, the Lixians are known to be weak and emotional. You would slow down our entire operation. Please, Zara said, feeling desperate. I will work twice as hard as anyone else. I will prove that I can be useful. The Krillians looked at each other and made clicking sounds with their mouths. Zara knew they were laughing at her. Come back when you have 2 legs, the lead Krillian said. Then we might consider you for cleaning duties. They walked away, leaving Zara standing alone in the middle of the busy corridor. Other beings stared at her with pity or annoyance. She felt like everyone in the galaxy could see her shame. Later that day, she tried approaching the Hive Mind Collective that ran the station's computer systems. The insectoid beings worked together as one giant brain, sharing thoughts and memories instantly. They were always looking for new workers to join their collective consciousness. The Hive Mind representative was a medium-sized insect with large compound eyes and clicking mandibles. It studied Zara's advertisement through its neural implant, processing the information in seconds. Delixian biology is incompatible with collective consciousness. It said in a voice that sounded like many insects talking at once. Your species maintains individual thoughts and emotions. This would disrupt our efficiency. I could learn to work with your collective, Zara said. I am willing to try any modification or training you require. Impossible, the Hive Mind replied. Delixian neural patterns cannot be changed. You will remain an individual, creating chaos in our shared mind. We cannot use you. The insect being turned away, its attention already focused on other tasks. Zara felt like she had been dismissed as easily as a broken machine dot by the third day. Zara had tried every major employer on the station. The Aquarian traders were kind, but explained that cross-species contracts created too many legal problems. The Centaurian military forces said she was not physically qualified for any of their positions. Even the small businesses run by minor species had no interest in hiring a disabled alien with no local experience. She sat in the rest area that evening, staring at her datapad. Her advertisement had been viewed by hundreds of beings, but not one had made an offer. The Altarian male sat down next to her again, carrying a bowl of thin soup from the charity kitchen. Still no luck? He asked. No one wants me, Zara said. I am useless to everyone. You are not useless, the Altarian said. The system is broken. It only values beings who can make money quickly. It does not care about beings who need help. What will I do? Zara asked. I cannot stay in the rest area forever. They will eventually send me back to Velix, and I will die there. Maybe you could try the illegal markets, the Altarian suggested quietly. There are always beings looking for workers who will not ask questions about the law. Zara had heard about the illegal markets. They were hidden in the station's lower levels, where criminals and outcasts gathered to trade in forbidden goods and services. The work was dangerous, and many beings who went there never returned. I do not want to become a criminal, Zara said. Sometimes we do not have a choice, the Altarian replied. The legal world does not want us. Maybe the illegal world will. That night, Zara could not sleep. She lay on her thin mat, listening to the sounds of dozens of other beings breathing, snoring, and crying softly in their sleep. She thought about her family on Velix, probably wondering why she had not contacted them in days. She thought about the prosthetic leg that seemed more impossible to get with each passing hour. She thought about the illegal markets and the terrible things that might happen to her there. But she also thought about dying slowly in the rest area. Forgotten by everyone in the galaxy. The next morning, she made a decision. She would try one more day in the legal marketplace. If no one wanted her after that, she would consider the Altarian suggestion. She would go to the illegal markets and see if criminals valued her more than honest beings did. As she prepared to leave the rest area, she noticed a new being had arrived during the night. It was a young human male, sitting on a bench near the entrance. He looked tired and confused, staring at his own datapad with worried eyes. Zara had never talked to a human before. She wondered what had brought him to the rest area. Humans were supposed to be successful in the galaxy, making money and building new colonies. What could have gone wrong for this one? She wanted to ask him, but she was too shy. Instead, she picked up her crutch and hobbled toward the marketplace for what might be her last attempt at finding legal work. Behind her, the human male continued to stare at his datapad, looking as lost and desperate as she felt. The galaxy was full of broken beings, Zara realized. Maybe that was just the way things were supposed to be. Maybe there was no place for beings like her in the endless space. Between the stars, the morning lights of Kepler Station flickered to life, casting long shadows across the medical district's crowded marketplace. Hundreds of beings from dozens of worlds moved through the wide corridors, their voices creating a constant hum of different languages and sounds. The air smelled of strange spices, metal, and the recycled atmosphere that all space stations share. Zara sat on a cold metal bench near the prosthetic clinic, her blue-scaled skin catching the artificial light, her forearms wrapped around her thin body as she tried to make herself smaller. The left leg that had once carried her through the deep mines of her home world was gone, replaced by a crude bandage and empty space. The mining accident had taken more than her leg. It had taken her future dot. She looked down at the small data pad in her upper right hand. The advertisement she had posted 3 hours ago still showed 0 responses. The words glowed softly on the screen, written in the common galactic language that all species use for trade. Young Velixian female seeks work contract. Will serve for 10 years in exchange for prosthetic leg surgery. Healthy, strong, willing to work any job. Please contact Zara, Sector 7, Bench 23. The words made her stomach hurt, but she had no choice. Her family back on Velix had already sold everything they owned to pay for her transport to the station. The government medical program would not cover aliens, and private surgery cost more money than most Velixians saw in their entire lives. Without a leg, she could not work. Without work, she would be sent back to Velix in shame, or worse, left to die in the station's refugee quarters. A group of tall, gray-skinned Krillian merchants walked past her bench. Their black eyes turned toward her for a moment, reading her advertisement on their own devices. One of them made a clicking sound with his mouth, the Krillian equivalent of laughter. They kept walking. Too weak, one of them said in the common language, knowing she would understand. Forearms mean nothing if the legs cannot carry the body. Zara felt her face grow hot with shame. She knew the Krillians were right. Her people were not built for heavy work like other species. Velixians were miners and artists, good with small, detailed tasks that required all 4 hands. But the galaxy needed workers who could lift heavy things, fight in wars, or operate dangerous machines. Her missing leg only made her more useless. An hour passed. Then another. The station's day cycle moved on, but no one stopped to talk to her. A few beings looked at her advertisement, but most just walked by without even seeing her. She was invisible. Just another broken alien in a place full of beings looking for better lives. The prosthetic clinic's door opened with a soft hiss. A human woman in a white coat stepped out, carrying a datapad and talking to a patient. Zara had never seen a human before, but she recognized the species from the galactic news feeds. They were new to space, barely 100 years since first contact. Most older species thought humans were too emotional and unpredictable to be trusted with important work. The human woman had dark hair and kind eyes behind thin glasses. She noticed Zara sitting alone and smiled, the way humans did when they wanted to show friendliness. Zara tried to smile back, but her face felt stiff. With worry, "Are you waiting for someone?" The human asked in careful, slow, common language. "I am waiting for work," Zara replied, holding up her datapad. "I need surgery, but I have no money. I offer myself instead." The human woman's face changed, becoming sad and concerned. She sat down on the bench next to Zara, something that surprised her. Most beings kept their distance from desperate aliens, afraid of being asked for help they could not give. "My name is Lisa Chun," the human said. "I am a doctor here. May I ask what happened to your leg?" Zara told her about the mining accident, about the falling rocks, and the emergency surgery that had saved her life but cost her limb. She explained about her family's poverty and the impossible cost of a prosthetic. As she spoke, she noticed that the human doctor's eyes grew more and more sad. "I wish I could help," Lisa said. "But the clinic only treats paying customers. Station employees. The medical laws are very strict about charity cases." "I understand," Zara said. "I do not ask for charity. I ask for trade. My service for medicine." Lisa nodded slowly. 10 years is a long time. Are you sure about this?" "I have no other choice," Zara said. "Without a leg, I cannot work. Without work, I will die." The human doctor stood up and looked at Zara's advertisement again. "I will share this with my colleagues. Maybe someone will know of work opportunities." After Lisa left, Zara felt a tiny spark of hope. The human had been kind to her, more kind than anyone else had been all day. Maybe there was still a chance, but as the hours passed, her hope began to fade again. More beings came and went. The insectoid hive mind studied her advertisement with their compound eyes but made no offers. They preferred workers who could connect directly to their group consciousness, something Velixians could never do. A pair of Aquarian traders stopped to read her information. Their blue, fish-like faces showed interest for a moment, but they moved on after talking quietly in their own language. Zara caught a few words through her translator: legal problems and too much trouble. The station's artificial sun began to dim, signaling the start of the evening cycle. Zara felt panic rising in her chest. She had been sitting here for almost 12 hours, and no one wanted her. Maybe she really was worthless. A security drone floated over to her bench, its red lights blinking slowly. The mechanical voice spoke in perfect common language. "Citizen, you have been in this location for 11 hours and 43 minutes. Commercial loitering is limited to 12 hours. Please conduct business or move to a designated rest area." Zara looked up at the drone with desperation. "I am trying to conduct business. I am selling myself for work. Sale contracts must be completed within the 12-hour limit." The drone replied, "You have 17 minutes remaining." 17 minutes. Zara felt her forehand shake as she held the data pad. If no one wanted her in 17 minutes, she would be forced to leave the commercial district. The rest areas were crowded with refugees and criminals. Many beings went there and never came back. She stood up on her one good leg, using the bench for support. Her crutch was old and uncomfortable, but it was all she had. Maybe if she moved around, someone would notice her. Maybe if she looked more active, more eager to work, someone would give her a chance. The marketplace was still busy with evening shoppers and late business deals. Zara hobbled between the crowds, holding her datapad high so beings could see her advertisement. A few looked at her with pity, but pity did not pay for prosthetic legs. "Please," she said to a group of Krillian engineers, "I will work very hard. I learn quickly." They ignored her and walked away. "I can work with small parts," she called to some hive mind technicians. "My 4 hands are good for detailed work." They buzzed at her in their insect language, but their translator devices remained silent. They did not think her words were worth translating. Zara felt tears beginning to form in her eyes. In Velixian culture, crying in public was shameful, but she could not stop herself. She was about to become homeless on an alien space station, with no way to survive and no way to go home. 10 minutes left. Then 5. Then the security drone appeared again, its red lights flashing more quickly now. "Time expired," it announced. "Please gather your belongings and move to Sector 12 rest areas." Zara looked around the marketplace one last time. All the successful beings conducting their business, making their deals, living their lives. None of them had wanted her. She was truly alone in the galaxy. She picked up her small bag of possessions and began to hobble toward the exit, defeated and broken. The alien girl who had offered herself for sale had found no buyers. And now she faced an uncertain future in the station's darkest corners.